We've seen it before in big storms. Federal officials are moving equipment and personnel ahead of the storm's impact. Correspondent Rich Edson is live at the White House with that part of the story. Good evening, Rich.
Good evening, Brent. And federal officials and the president has just declared a state of emergency in South Carolina, joining Florida. That directs federal funding and resources to those states to help them confront this storm, as the White House warns of a potentially historic hurricane. The White House calls it a forceful mobilization of federal and local resources ahead of Hurricane Matthew.
This is likely the largest and most powerful hurricane to hit the United States in a decade or so. And the preparations that we have been making in advance of the storm, I think, are indicative of just how serious we think it is.
The administration stresses the bulk of the hurricane response is the responsibility of local and state officials, though the White House says the Federal Emergency Management Agency is already working in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. FEMA is also trying a new approach, stationing equipment and supplies close to expected areas of damage. The agency tweeted a video showing FEMA workers loading onto trucks water, meals, cots, blankets, and generators.
Congress made it very clear after Katrina, if we think that disaster has occurred or is occurring or could occur, we can start moving resources before the states ask.
These emergency preparations are designed for survival. Then the task of assessing and repairing the damage. Property data firm CoreLogic says nearly 2 million homes in Florida, South and North Carolina, and Georgia are vulnerable to Matthew's storm surge. The firm says rebuilding those homes after a Category 4 storm in Florida alone could cost nearly $190 billion.
Along the Gulf Coast, particularly in Florida, a lot of people have very high hurricane deductibles. So we think that not only is it going to be flood, but it's going to be people who are underinsured for wind damage.
FEMA Administrator Craig Fugate says he expects a lot of people are going to need help rebuilding their homes, and his agency will help those affected qualify for loans and grants. The U.S. military is also preparing. The Pentagon says officials have mobilized a National Guard force of 4,500 across 4 states and made available 4 military bases as staging areas. This as the U.S. Navy has deployed 3 warships away from their home base near Jacksonville, farther off the Florida coast. Brett?
Rich Edson live on the North Lawn. Rich, thank you.